Hi guys. In anticipation of next Wednesday's UK budget, the first from a Labour Chancellor in 15 years, our team highlights some key areas they'll be monitoring, from the UK's growth outlook to the widely debated adjustments to fiscal rules. Quickly, before we get started, it would be great if you guys could like and subscribe. It helps us bring you more of these videos for free. So, let's get into it. The messaging makes it apparent that the new government is setting the stage for a blend of spending cuts and tax hikes. The pressing £22 billion question is just how much extra funding will be necessary to close the public finance black hole and what the ideal policy balance might look like. The £22 billion figure the government is spotlighting reflects this year's public overspending alone. The actual fiscal gap they will need to bridge could be larger, depending on forecasts from the Office for Budget Responsibility, OBR. Labour's manifesto proposed a moderate package of tax increases, introducing VAT on private school fees, adjusting the tax treatment of non-domiciled individuals and carried interest, aimed at generating £2 billion annually, and an unspecified push against tax avoidance expected to bring in an additional £5 billion. However, briefings ahead of the budget indicate that the Chancellor may be aiming for significantly higher revenue, possibly tens of billions each year. A substantial tax increase post-election wouldn't be unusual. Since 1992, every post-election fiscal statement has included tax hikes. It wouldn't be surprising if Reeves's tax increase exceeded those in the first budgets of both Gordon Brown and George Osborne, equivalent to £14 billion and £13 billion today, respectively. But could her budget even surpass the largest tax-raising budget in 50 years, Norman Lamont's 1993 budget, which amounted to £33 billion in today's terms? Most of our knowledge comes from the Labour manifesto, which didn't address wealth-related taxes like capital gains tax, CGT, inheritance tax, IHT, or investment taxes. However, there is speculation that the upcoming budget may include adjustments in some of these areas, changes to IHT reliefs, increased taxes on capital gains and adjustments to CGT exemptions, higher taxes on investment income, modifications to business assets, disposal relief, revisions to pensions, tax relief, adjustments to the pensions, tax-free allowance. With some other tax increases ruled out, capital gains tax, CGT, could become a primary focus for the government to generate revenue. Another potential change could affect private equity managers, who currently benefit from lower tax rates on carried interest treated as capital gains tax at 28%, rather than income tax rates. The government is already working to reclassify carried interest as income, though some argue this could weaken the UK's competitive position in private equity. The government could also target business-related CGT tax breaks. Business owners selling their companies currently enjoy a reduced 10% CGT rate. Raising this rate to align with standard CGT rates at 20% could generate £710 million by 2027/28, but would likely be unpopular with entrepreneurs. One bold option would be to align CGT rates with income tax, creating a substantial tax increase for investors. This approach, however, may not yield as much revenue as expected. Government figures suggest that raising CGT by 10 percentage points to 20% and 30% for non-property gains could actually result in a £2.05 billion revenue loss by 2027/28. The reason is that higher rates might encourage investors to alter their behaviors to avoid the tax. Another area under discussion is ending the CGT exemption on death, which could discourage investors from holding on to assets solely to transfer them at death under inheritance tax, IHT. However, removing this exemption would likely require an inflation adjustment to avoid penalizing long-term investment holders unfairly. A simpler option might involve raising CGT for higher rate taxpayers to 28%, starting in April 2025, returning to the higher rate set by George Osborne in 2010. This would reduce the disparity between income and capital gains rates, though without fully aligning them. Delaying the hike until 2025 could also prompt investors to sell assets sooner, increasing tax intake in the short term. Pension tax revisions. Changes to pension tax relief, including a potential flat rate on contributions, may be introduced. This could reduce benefits for higher-rate taxpayers while potentially incentivizing basic-rate taxpayers to save. Introduction of flat-rate tax relief. The government is considering a shift to a flat-rate tax relief system for pension contributions, potentially set between 25% and 30%. This would standardize the relief across all taxpayers, benefiting basic-rate taxpayers while providing less advantage to higher-rate earners who currently receive up to 45% relief. This change could lead to an estimated annual saving of around £5 billion for the government inclusion of pension funds in inheritance tax, IHT. At present, pension funds do not count towards an individual's estate for IHT purposes. A proposed change could see these funds included in the estate valuation, especially for individuals who die after reaching the age of 75. Implementing this change could raise tax obligations for beneficiaries, with a greater impact on wealthier families. These are some of our ideas on what might happen in the budget. But like much else in economics and politics, it's hard to predict. This video isn't financial advice, but it creates some ideas so you can get yourself prepared. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment and like the video.